Hi guys!
Hi.
Welcome to our channel.
Today we are going to talk about a few things that affect our lives living off-grid every day. We're looking at it not only as living a simple life, but we're also helping our planet in the meantime and reducing our waste and reducing our carbon footprint. We wanted to put together this video so that if you are dreaming about doing this too, you'll know what we have to deal with every day, because it's not all roses and fairy tales, because there's a lot of hard work that we put into it too. And yeah, and we want to share this with you, and it doesn't mean that you're going to go through the exact experiences, but we are talking from our experience on our piece of land in Portugal.
When we say off-grid life, we obviously don't just mean not being connected to the grid, but more about living a simple life, growing your own food and recycling and regenerating the land. These things might be some things to consider to see if this life is for you. If you look up online for pros and cons of living the off-grid simple life, one of the first things that comes up is the initial cost. Obviously, you're going to have to fork out to buy the land, and if you buy a piece of land like we did, where there was absolutely nothing, it does cost quite a bit to set everything up.
You have to think of this as your business. And the first 2 years are always really hard in your business. So this is how you have to think of it. And you have to put in money to make something out of it.
Yeah. And I think one of the secrets of true happiness in life. Listen to me.
What is
No, but it's
say?
true. It's true. One of the main things is to be happy with your job, with what you're doing. If you can get paid to do something you love, that's like the holy grail. Even though I'm a chef, really, I love building stuff, even though I'm not great at it, but I'm always learning. If you don't like that kind of thing, it's already a kind of a red flag, you know, if you don't like doing any of that kind of stuff. So if you start out like us, where we had to start from scratch, you have to be pretty comfortable with roughing it. And when we first came here, we started out in a caravan. We didn't have a fridge, we didn't have a toilet. So it takes some time until you can get first batch of necessities, kind of toilet, water, heat, electricity.
So basically, when you first start out off-grid, the basic needs where you think are normal everyday things become luxuries when you're living off-grid. So that's just one thing to think about.
Yeah, we were feeling pretty posh when we had running water, and later on when we eventually got a water heater and we could have a hot shower without heating up a pot of water and everything. It's like, oh, luxury, finally.
Yeah. Another thing to consider is it's good and bad. You are your own boss. Okay, I say this, but we are two, so there can only be one boss, and it's me. No, but you are your own boss. So if you tend to be on the lazy side of things and you need a bit of initiative to get going, then it might be a little bit hard for you and you won't get anything done. Like sometimes when the weather's really bad or it's going to be bad for a while, I mean, we like working hard, and we see, if you see the results, you kind of, that's your incentive to keep going. But sometimes when the weather's bad, we just don't want to do anything, so we have to push each other. There isn't anyone telling you what to do when, so you can make up your own schedule, but you do need a schedule, and you do need to stick to it. Another thing about being your own boss, you have to find a way of earning money, because even if you're totally self-sufficient, you still need money.
Yeah, you're not going to barter for petrol, you know?
No, there's certain necessities which you will eventually have to pay for. If you already do work online, that's a bonus, because you're there.
Yeah, if you have a pension, or an online business or something like that, that's perfect. A lot of people are like that here.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you have to figure out how you're going to bring home the bacon.
Yes. Another thing about being your own boss and having your own piece of land is you cannot get sick leave. So like I said, there are things that you have to do every day, and you can't just do nothing for a week. So if you're sick, or if you're both sick, you just have to get on with it and do it. You can't take a sickie.
I mean, I guess whoever's not sick can do all the harder work.
Yes.
Like when I hurt my back last year, I tried obviously to stay away from heavy lifting and stuff like that. So Sarah did all of that.
Yes, I did the heavy lifting. That's why I have these guns. But but I mean, we're not only talking about if you're a couple and you have someone else. This life is, even if you do it alone, which we have friends who do this alone, you can't take sick leave. You do have to work on your land, and you do have to keep things going. Working with the weather and being exposed to all the elements all the time is quite up there on our list of things to consider. Like when we first got here, okay, we're in a caravan, but we had a tent too, and the tent got ripped due to some severe windy conditions. So if we had no caravan and we were living in that tent, we would have had nowhere to kind of go and take refuge in. We practically work outside the whole time, and we only go in to sleep. So we are outdoors is where we work. This is our workspace. So when you have to rely on the weather all the time, it can be a little bit hard to get used to. For example, in summer here it's very, very hot. So you kind of want to work the later the better, or as early as possible. But the best time to sleep is between 7 and 9 in the morning. It's so cool in bed and you don't even want to get out of there. So
True.
we just want to stay asleep, but we can't, because if we don't wake up early, then
You won't get anything.
you won't
done.
get anything done, because then you have to kind of have a break at 11 o'clock, or whenever it starts heating up, it becomes really, really hot, too hot to work.
Yeah, your life is definitely dictated by the seasons. We're always hoping for rain for the land, but then you kind of don't want it to rain because you want to work. It's like, yay, rain! Oh no, I can't do anything. Let's go inside.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess you can work with a
you
raincoat.
can work. We're
but
kind of happy working in the rain for the first couple of days, but then if it rains too much, and then you're always wet, you know, and you're anyway, it's not the best. When your electricity depends mostly, well, it depends only on solar, and there's no electricity and there's no sun, that can be a problem too. And we've just had a couple of days of just cloudy weather, so you do have to think about this in advance and not waste electricity during the day, or you have to really try and reduce your power usage.
Another thing to consider is if you're the kind of person that needs to be constantly socializing with other people, and you're not totally comfortable being on your own all the time, some people might suffer from loneliness. Don't get me wrong, there's lots of people around, especially where we are. I mean, it depends where you're setting up, because some people might be just completely out in the middle of nowhere, you know,
Yeah.
not like us.
Yeah.
But loneliness does play a factor in it.
If you meet people, yes, you will go out and socialize and all that, but everyone has their own piece of land. If they're all doing what you're doing, then they're busy most of the time too. If you have animals, you can't just up and leave and go anywhere and go on holiday. And it's not as easy as you might think, finding someone to take care of your land and getting them, okay, they can come and stay for free on your land, but there's a lot of other things. You have all your valuables here, you know, and they do have to treat your animals a certain way, and if you don't know them, you don't know if you can trust them, which brings us to our next point, which is woofers. Woofers can make your life a lot easier, but we feel like you need a lot of experience with them to get used to how to handle them and how to make your life easier instead of harder.
It can be tricky, but like when we first got our land, we found a couple of people who wanted to woof that we didn't know, and we found ourselves wasting more time like cooking for them, and I mean we got along like a house on fire, but we ended up
getting less work.
Yeah, just talking and then drinking late into the night, and so it was from our end, not the actual woofers.
Yeah.
I think it does take some time to just figure out the way you're going to do it, so it actually does help you. It's great to meet awesome people who love this life too and come and work and everything. But at the end of the day, you don't know who is going to come.
Like everything in life, you know, there's the good and the bad out of everything, but you just have to be a little more careful when you're inviting strangers onto your land. In saying that, if you do want this life and you do want to live off grid, we do suggest you try woofing first too. If you have no experience, this has helped us out a lot. We got the feel of having goats and milking goats. This is a very good way of traveling on a budget, which is awesome, and getting to know the life.
And the country.
Now this is my favorite point by far, living off grid with somebody you love. You spend 24 hours a day, 7 days a week together, working together, eating together, planning together, teamwork. You know, it's a really good thing, but it's also
Yeah, you have 24 hours together.
so yeah, I mean it can be a shock for people.
Well, it wasn't
Like-
a shock for us because, I mean, before we came here, we spent 2 years working together on a food truck, so 24/7 together
In a hot kitchen.
in a hot kitchen under a lot of stress.
Yeah.
So this is a walk in the park.
You do spend a lot of time together, and you have to plan everything together, and you have to agree with everything. I mean, you have to have the same goals for your piece of land.
Or for your life, I guess.
And for your life. But yeah, you can get out of the 24 hours together at some point by doing work somewhere else. Unless you
Some
buy
time alone. We've been together for 22
years.
22 years now, and I mean, we've spent many of those years, especially like 10, 15 years ago, just working really hard for a certain goal, about different jobs. And I mean, we spent years like seeing each other every couple of days. For some people, when they live that kind of lifestyle and then they move on to an amazing piece of land and all that, and it's the fairy tale living off grid and all this, and then they end up not standing each other.
Because it is hard, you know. I mean, you're always together, and when you live off grid, you're probably living in a small space. So this has a lot to do with it as well. You're eating and sleeping practically in the same room, and you're always together. So it can be a little bit challenging. But like everything else in life, you can get used to this. And if it's for you, it's for you. Yeah. You'll thrive instead of wanting to kill each other.
So those are the things to consider if the off-grid simple life is for you. Join us next week for another 6. If you like this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, share and subscribe.
If you would like to support us further, we've got a Patreon page, and you can head on to patreon.com and look for Luca and Sarah's Off-Grid Life. Supporting us on Patreon will help us keep producing this content, and will also probably help us improve our equipment. So thanks for watching, and have
Thanks
a
for
great
watching,
day.
and we'll see you next time.
See you
Bye.
next time.